Bonjour! Today I'm going to help you with the contextual dialogue. This is an exercise that is expected at French CSEC exam, paper 2 for writing. However, if you are not taking this exam, I believe it's good practice for you. You are given a dialogue with a part missing, which you'll have to complete, but you will have been given some cues. I must admit, this is a challenging exercise because 1, you need to understand the text in front of you. 2, you need to respond accordingly because you've been given some cues. And 3, you need to move from a written to a spoken register, which is not always easy for candidates. But I'm here and I will take you there. There will be 2 parts on the topic of interview. So today is part 1 and we'll focus on the questions alone. To give you an idea of what is in store for you, let's read the instructions. So you have a dream and you're a journalist and need to interview Usain Bolt, who can speak French too. Using 80 to 100 words, complete the conversation between Usain Bolt and yourself. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! So, here are the instructions, and I have underlined for you the keywords which are very important. You are a journalist, so you know that if you are a journalist, you're going to ask questions, which is what I would like you to do today. So, 1 is a journalist, and you're going to interview someone. And you will have to do that using 80 to 100 words. So, let's do it, and let's look at the cues. Normally there are 5 cues, so let's read them. Make sure to include the following. 1, greet and introduce yourself to Usain Bolt. 2, ask him questions about his birth, the date and place, and his height. 3, ask a question about his youth. 4, ask a question regarding your guest's personal message to the youth. And the last one, ask him about his plan for this summer. But before we start the exercise, I would like to share my tips with you. Read the instructions and make note of the keywords, and please remember it is a dialogue. It's not a text, it's not a prose, it is a dialogue. Also, decide if the conversation is going to be formal or informal. Based on the text and based on the cues, you will know if it's a formal dialogue or not. What I mean by formal or not is that who are you talking to? Are you going to use tu to that person or vous? That is what I mean. You need to read the text with your logical responses. So if the person asks you, how old are you? You can't see then after my name is. That's what I mean. It has to be logical. You need to check your grammar and spelling at the end when you've already finished your exercise. Make sure that your grammar and spelling are spot on. And don't forget to count the number of words to ensure that you're within the word limit. So even if it's 80, it's fine. You don't need to write up to 100, but make sure that what you are writing is correct. So now let's look at the text, and this is what you would see, something like that. Greet your guest and ask how he is. So you've already got the answer to that, which is the text I said that you need to be able to understand. Bonjour, je vais bien, merci. Then thank him for accepting the interview and tell him that you have a few questions to ask him. And to that, he answers, d'accord, c'est avec plaisir. We continue with the text. Ask him another personal question. Depuis petit, j'ai toujours aimé courir. Je jouais au cricket et au football. Ask him if he expected to be the fastest man in the world, and he says pas du tout. Ask him about the motivation, and his answer is la première, c'est ma mère. And the last part, ask him if he has a message to convey. He says, je voudrais dire aux jeunes que le travail et la persévérance sont importants pour réussir. Donc, n'abandonnez pas. Ask him about his summer. And he answers, j'ai l'intention de partir en vacances, mais je ne sais pas où exactement. And you need to thank him and end the interview. And his last words are, je vous en prie, au revoir. I'm going to ask you to go over the text so that you can write your own answers. And now we're going to see my answers. Okay, so your text says, bonjour, je vais bien, merci. You need to greet him. So the obvious to me is to say, bonjour Hussein, comment allez-vous? And the answer is correct, bonjour, je vais bien, merci. Then you remember that in the cues, they ask you to say thank you for the invitation and that you need to ask a few questions. So you're just going to say that. Merci d'avoir accepté mon invitation. Je voudrais vous poser quelques questions. To which Hussein says, d'accord, c'est avec plaisir. So here's the text. Je suis né en 1986 en Jamaïque. So to get such an answer, you need to find out his date of birth or his year of birth, more exactly, and where he was born. En quelle année et où êtes-vous né? Then you remember that you were supposed to ask for the height. So, combien mesurez-vous? Then you have the answer, oui, j'ai un frère et une sœur. So you need a question where you would have yes or no, and that will be, avez-vous des frères et des sœurs? Or, est-ce que vous avez des frères et des sœurs? That will work well as well. And the last one is saying that he has 8 gold medals in total. So, you could ask how many? Combien de médailles d'or avez-vous gagné? So be careful with gagné. I have gagné EES because médaille is a direct object placed before avoir in the past tense. Okay, so it's not a mistake. Combien de médailles d'or avez-vous gagné? So let's continue. Here we have depuis petit, j'ai toujours aimé courir. I've always liked running since I was a boy. Je jouais au cricket et au football. I used to. Okay, je jouais. I used to play cricket and football. Pas du tout, not at all. And la première, c'est ma mère. The first one is my mother. So let's see what we can come up with. So the first question is, courir a toujours été une passion, n'est-ce pas? Running has always been a passion, hasn't it? And then you have his answer. And then for the second question, remember it was about whether or not he thought that one day he would be the fastest man in the world. So you have to be careful here in terms of the tenses. Pensiez-vous, did you think? So we are here with the imperfect. Pensiez-vous qu'un jour vous seriez? So here it has to be the conditional. You can't have the future because you are in the past, okay? Pensiez-vous qu'un jour vous seriez, don't forget the I each time, l'homme le plus rapide du monde? And he answers, pas du tout, not at all. And then the last question, qui a été la première personne à vous avoir motivé? Who was the first person to have motivated you? And he answers, la première, c'est ma mère. And the last part, so the text are, je voudrais dire aux jeunes que le travail et la persévérance sont importants pour réussir. Donc, n'abandonnez pas. I would like to tell the youth that work and perseverance are important for success, so don't give up. So what could be the question here? Quel message voulez-vous passer aux jeunes? What message would you like to convey to the youth or the young people? And the second one is, j'ai l'intention de partir en vacances, mais je ne sais pas où exactement. You remember that it was about his plan for the summer. So just ask him, quels sont vos projets pour l'été? Qu'est-ce que vous allez faire en été? Anything like that will work. And then you have to ask the last question. Actually, it's not a question. You had to think to thank him. So, je vous remercie pour votre temps. Au revoir. I just put au revoir, but I wanted to put au revoir Hussein, but I didn't have any room. So, je vous remercie pour votre temps. Remember, each time you have to use the vous form, and if you have temps, you have to use votre. So here I wanted to put all my answers in one place so that you can see what we're looking for. And the reality is that you can write whatever you can write. Okay, and that is the good thing about this exercise, is that as long as you are within the cues and the word limit, you can write whatever you want, how difficult or how easy you want to put it. So don't stress on that. I'm just going to go through 3, 8, and 9 to show you the alternatives, you know, other options. In 3, I said, avez-vous des frères et des sœurs? But I remind you that you could also say, est-ce que vous avez des frères et des sœurs? For question number 8, I put, quel message voulez-vous passer aux jeunes? I put passer because we are in a dialogue, but you could have said, quel message voulez-vous transmettre aux jeunes? Quel message voulez-vous communiquer aux jeunes? That will work very well too. Number 9, quels sont vos projets pour l'été? But why not? Qu'avez-vous l'intention de faire cet été? This will work very well as well. One little point for the question where it says, pensiez-vous qu'un jour vous seriez l'homme le plus rapide du monde? I just want to say something about rapide. You need to remember that rapide is an adjective, and of course it will be placed with a noun. Very often I find students put le plus vite. No, you cannot put vite here because there's no action. Vite is an adverb. Therefore, you would need to have a verb, an action. Okay, here we just have to be is a state, so we are going to say rapide, and you're going to use le plus for the fastest. Okay, so let's go through a recap now. My tips checklist now. So the first thing you need to do is to read the instructions. Make sure that you read the instructions 3 times if necessary, because if you don't write what they ask you for, then you will not get a good grade. Okay, so instructions plus the cues. Underline the keywords so that you don't forget them. Very important, is it going to be a formal dialogue or informal, meaning are you going to use the tu or vous? This will depend on who you will be talking to. Read over what you write, because you can't have a question, what's your name? And you say my age is. The responses must be logical. It is a written exercise, therefore grammar and spelling will be very, very important. So when you finish your activity, just go over and check for the grammar and your spelling. Something which is very important too is the word count. Remember, it's between 80 to 100 words. So I would suggest that you really keep to the 80, 85 words, because the more you write, the more mistakes you're likely to make. So it makes no sense to write and make more mistakes. So try to stick to that, and you'll be fine. Okay, so don't forget that next week, hopefully, I will release the second part of this video, which will be very different because today we just focused on questions, but you're less likely to have something like that. So the second part will be more interesting and also closer to what you will get in the exam. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. Please like it, share it, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Au revoir.